What are you doing here? I'm hitting share. Oh, share video. And yeah, I know. There. Ho, 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 folks. How are we doing? And welcome to Storytime by Santa. I'm so excited to be reading stories for you tonight on this wonderful, amazing new platform called Be Connected. There's so many options and opportunities on this platform, folks. I'm excited to be here. And I'm glad you're here. And wait, did you join my group? Oh, wait, should you join my group? Of course you could. And I would love for you to join my group. It's right on the side there. One of those buttons on the side, and you can click and join my group right here on Be Connected. Yes, I'm so excited, folks, that you're here to enjoy some family time, I hope, with your children. And I hope you got a cup of hot cocoa and maybe even some cookies, because there'll be time for some stories and there'll be time for some questions. So, once again, thanks for joining Santa Papa John on this wonderful new journey that. Well, folks, how are we doing? I'm glad you're here on a Wednesday evening. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Santa's going to read some stories. Yes, we'll get the microphone out of the way. It doesn't have to be in the pictures. All right, are you ready for some stories? We're going to do three stories, of course. That's what we do here every Wednesday night. This one is called The Snow Angel of Crystal Lake. Come gather close, my wonderful friends. Find your favorite cozy spot, pull that blanket up around your shoulders, and imagine a winter evening when the snow is falling so gentle that you could almost hear each snowflake land. Tonight, we're traveling to a little town beside a beautiful frozen lake. I know it's kind of hard to imagine in August when it's 85 degrees. A place where children skate beneath strings of glowing lights, where neighbors know each other by name, and where one winter morning something appeared in the snow that nobody could quite explain. Was it magic? Was it a mystery? Or was it something even more wonderful? Well, there's only one way to find out. Crystal Lake was a beautiful in every season. In spring, ducks paddled along its shores. In summer, children splashed in the water. In autumn, red and golden leaves reflected across the lake like colorful little boats. But winter, well, winter was special. Snow covered the pine trees, warm lights twinkled from cottages, and when the lake froze safely enough, families gathered enough near the town's skating area. Children raced across the ice. Parents carried mugs of cocoa. Grandparents sat near outdoor heaters and told stories about how much colder winters were when they were young. Santa had noticed something interesting about grandparents. According to them, every winter from their childhood contained 17 feet of snow. That was on a good winter. Most of the time it was 19. And they walked to school through all of it, uphill both ways. Oh, of course. Near Crystal Lake lived a 10-year-old girl named Lily Harper. Lily loved winter. She loved skating. She loved catching snowflakes on her mittens. She especially loved making snow angels. Lily considered herself something of an expert. You need a fluffy snow, she explained to her younger brother. You need enough room for the wings. And most importantly, Ben waited. You have to get back up without stepping on your angel. Ben stared at her. That's the important part. Absolutely. What if I can't get up? Then you live there until spring. Ho, 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 ho. Ben's eyes widened. Lily laughed. I'm kidding. Their mother shook her head. Please don't convince your brother he has to spend 4 months laying in the yard. One Saturday morning, Lily and Ben walked with their mother towards Crystal Lake. Fresh snow had fallen overnight. The entire shoreline looked untouched. Then Lily stopped. Mom, what is it? Lily pointed. Near a large pine tree was a snow angel. But this was not an ordinary snow angel. It was enormous. Its wings stretched nearly 6 feet across. Around the angel were tiny stars pressed into the snow. And strangely, there was no footprints leading towards it. Ben's mouth dropped open. How did somebody get there? Lily walked around it carefully. No footprints. Maybe they jumped. From where? Ben looked up at the pine tree. Maybe they fell. Lily laughed. That would make a snow splat, not a snow angel. Soon other people noticed. Mr. Jensen, who owned the bakery, came over. Well, that's interesting. Mrs. Patel from the library studied it. Very interesting. Old Mr. Franklin adjusted his glasses. I've lived here 68 years and I've never seen anything like this. Ben whispered to Lily, maybe it's a real angel. Lily looked at the beautiful shape. Maybe. By lunchtime, half the town had heard about the mysterious snow angel of Crystal Lake. Somebody placed a sign nearby, please do not disturb the angel. Children visited, family took pictures, people invented theories. It was the wind. It was a giant bird. It was somebody wearing snowshoes. One boy suggested aliens. His mother suggested he stop watching science fiction movies over before bedtime. But Lily wondered about something else. Besides the snow angel, she noticed three small words pressed carefully into the snow. You are needed. Lily stared at them. What does that mean? Nobody knew. The next morning, another snow angel appeared. This one was near the town library. Again, no footprints. Beside it were the words, you are important. Mrs. Patel smiled when she saw them. I think I like your mysterious visitor. On Monday morning, another appeared outside the senior center. You are remembered. Then one appeared near the elementary school. You can help. Every day brought another snow angel, and every angel carried a message. You are stronger than you think. Your kindness matters. Someone believes in you. Crystal Lake became fascinated. But Lily noticed something surprising. People weren't only talking about who made the angels, they were talking about the messages. At school, Lily saw a boy named Evan sitting alone during lunch. Evan had recently moved to town. He was quiet and usually read while everyone else talked. Lily remembered, you can help. She carried her lunch tray over. Can I sit here? Evan looked surprised. Sure. What are you reading? A book about space. Ben, who had followed Lily, sat down too. Do aliens make snow angels? Evan stared at him. What? It's a long story, Lily said. For the first time, Evan laughed. Later that week, Lily noticed Mrs. Franklin struggling to carry grocery bags from her car. She remembered, your kindness matters. Lily and Ben hurried over. Can we help? Mrs. Franklin smiled. I would love that. Ben grabbed the lightest bag. This one has bread. He held it carefully. I have been trusted with carbohydrates. Lily nearly dropped her bag, laughing. All around Crystal Lake, the messages seemed to be changing things. Teenagers shoveled sidewalks for older neighbors. Children collected mittens for families who needed them. The bakery began offering a free warm roll to anyone having a difficult day. Mr. Jensen placed a sign in the window. No explanation necessary. Everybody needs a warm roll sometimes. Santa heard about Crystal Lake all the way at the North Pole. Mrs. Claus handed him a newspaper. Have you seen this? Well, I read the headline Mysterious Snow Angels Inspire Crystal Lake. Well, now, I said, that sounds like my kind of mystery. Mrs. Claus smiled. I thought you might say that. Santa packed his winter coat and traveled to Crystal Lake. When he arrived, Lily and Ben were examining the newest angel. Ben spotted him first. Santa? Well, of course, I waved. Ho, ho, ho. Lily stared. What are you doing here? I heard Crystal Lake has a snow angel problem. It's not really a problem, Lily said. Santa smiled. Those are my favorite kinds of problems. Lily showed him the messages. Santa studied each one. Though these are powerful words. Do you know who's making them? Santa stroked his beard. I might. Lily's eyes widened. Who? I said, I might. That's not helpful. I'm Santa. Occasionally I have to be mysterious. That evening, I joined the families at the lake. Children skated, neighbors shared cocoa, somebody played holiday music. Lily watched me carefully. At one point, he disappeared. Aha, she whispered. She grabbed Ben. Come on. Where? We're following Santa. Ben gasped. Is that allowed? Probably not. That makes it more exciting. They followed a trail around the lake. Behind the community building, they spotted Santa. And he wasn't making a snow angel. He was helping an older man repair a wooden sled. Lily sighed. Santa looked up. Something looking for something? No. Ben immediately answered. We thought you were the snow angel. Lily groaned. Excellent detective work, Ben. Santa chuckled. I'm afraid these knees haven't made a 6-foot snow angel in quite some time. The next morning, the largest angel yet appeared near the lake. Beside it were the words, kindness grows when you pass it on. Lily studied the snow carefully. Then she noticed something. A tiny mark, not a footprint, a wheel track. It led towards a storage building beside the park. Lily followed it. Inside, she found a small sled with wide wooden runners. Beside it sat Mr. Franklin, the same older gentleman who had lived at Crystal Lake for 68 years. Yes, not 86, 68. He held a long wooden pole with a flat angel wing shape attached to one end. Lily stared. You, Mr. Franklin smiled. I wondered when someone would figure it out. You made the angels. With a little engineering. He showed her the sled. I can reach out with these wooden forms and press the wings into the fresh snow without walking into it. Ben appeared behind Lily. I knew it. Lily looked at him. You thought it was aliens. I had several theories. Santa entered behind them. Mr. Franklin laughed. I suppose the secret is out. Lily looked confused. Why did you do it? Mr. Franklin became quiet. My wife Margaret loved making snow angels. He smiled softly. She believed nobody should go through a day thinking they didn't matter. Every winter, Margaret had volunteered around town. She had visited older neighbors. She helped children with reading. She brought soup to families. When Margaret passed away several years ago, I stopped doing many of those things. He looked towards the lake. This winter, I realized I was spending too much time remembering the kindness she gave instead of continuing it. So he built the special sled. His first message had been, You are needed. Who was that message for? Lily asked. Mr. Franklin smiled. Me. Lily felt her heart squeeze. The other messages? For anyone who needed them. Santa placed a hand on Mr. Franklin's shoulder. and it appears quite a few people did. Lily thought about Evan, Mrs. Franklin's groceries, the teenagers shoveling sidewalks, the free rolls at the bakery. One man had made snow angels, but hundreds of acts of kindness had followed. What happens now? Ben asked. Mr. Franklin smiled. I suppose everyone knows the secret. Lily shook her head. No. What do you mean? The important part wasn't who made the angels. She looked at Santa. It was what people did because of them. Santa's eyes twinkled. Now that sounds like someone who has been paying attention. Lily suddenly had an idea. What if we make more? Mr. Franklin raised an eyebrow. Make more snow angels all over town. That afternoon, Crystal Lake held its first snow angel day. Families gathered in parks and yards. Children made angels, parents made angels, teenagers made angels while pretending they were much too old to enjoy it. They were not. Even Santa joined. He lowered himself carefully onto the snow. Ready? Lily asked. Ready. Santa swept his arms and legs. Then he stopped. Now comes the difficult part. Getting up without ruining it, Lily said. You really are an expert. Santa tried sitting up. He fell backwards. Poof! Everybody laughed. Santa tried again. Poof! Ben called out, I guess Santa lives there until spring. Santa laughed louder than anybody else. Finally, Lily and Ben each grabbed one of his hands and helped him stand up. Santa looked at his snow angel. One boot had smudged the bottom. It's not perfect, Lily said. Santa smiled. Neither is kindness. What? Sometimes we stumble. Sometimes we don't know exactly what to say. Sometimes our good intentions get a little messy. He looked around at hundreds of snow angels, but we try. And besides every angel, somebody wrote a message. You belong here. Keep trying. Your voice matters. Thank you for being you. You can make a difference. Evan made one too. His message read, there is always room for one more friend. Lily smiled when she saw it. By sunset, Crystal Lake was surrounded by snow angels. From above, they looked like hundreds of white wings stretching across the town. Santa stood beside Mr. Franklin. I think Margaret would have liked this. Mr. Franklin smiled. I think she would have brought cocoa. Santa nodded. I know I liked her. Every winter after that, Crystal Lake celebrated Snow Angel Day, but the town added one rule. Before making an angel, everyone had to perform one act of kindness. Some were big, some were small. A phone call, a compliment, a shoveled walkway, an invitation to sit together, a donated book, a patient conversation, a warm roll. And every year, Mr. Franklin made the first snow angel beside Crystal Lake. Eventually, he taught Lily how to use his special wooden tools. Years later, when Lily was grown, children were still gathered around her and asked, is the snow angel real? Lily always smiled. Oh, yes. Who is it? She would point towards the town. It's everyone. Because Lily had learned something important. A snow angel lasts only until the weather changes. But kindness, kindness can travel from one person to another for years. Sometimes all it takes is one person reminding someone else, you matter, you belong, you are needed, and perhaps the most importantly, you can be the reason someone else believes those words too. Here's the moral of the story. The snow angel of Crystal Lake reminds us that we do not need magic powers, perfect words, or enormous gestures to make someone else's life brighter. Mr. Franklin began with one simple message because he needed to remember that his own life still had purpose. And by sharing that message, he helped an entire community rediscover the power of kindness. Courage can mean reaching out when we feel alone. Kindness can mean noticing someone who needs a friend. And believing in ourselves, we believe that when someone reminds us that we matter, every caring choice leaves a mark, and while footprints in the snow eventually disappear, the kindness we pass from one heart to another can continue growing long after the snow has melted. Wow, that was pretty awesome. All right, are we ready for story number two? Of course we are. Come gather close, my wonderful friends. Find your coziest blanket, fluff up your favorite pillow. Make sure your imagination is tucked in comfortably. Tonight's story number two begins in a quiet little town where the evening smelled like fireplaces, cocoa, and fresh laundry. It's a story about pajamas. Now, that may not sound especially magical. Pajamas usually do not fly, they do not sing, they do not know karate. At least most of them don't. But one winter, a very special pair of pajamas showed a young girl that dreams become brighter when they are filled with courage, kindness, and hope. In a cheerful little town called Maple Hollow lived a 9 year old girl named Sophie Lane. Sophie loved drawing, she loved books, she loved animals, and she loved bedtime stories. But bedtime itself, that was another matter. Every night, Sophie climbed into bed, pulled the blankets to her chin, and stared at the ceiling. What if I can't fall asleep? Her mother would smile, then rest your eyes. What if my brain keeps thinking? Then let it think quietly. What if I dream something strange? Strange dreams can make excellent stories. Sophie sighed. That sounded reasonable during the day, but at night every tiny sound seemed larger. A branch tapped the window. Tap, tap, tap. Sophie's eyes opened. What was that? The tree, her mother said. The furnace hummed. Sophie sat up. What was that? The heat. The family cat Pickle jumped onto the bed. Sophie gasped. What was? Pickle meowed. Her mother laughed. That mystery solved itself. Sophie was not afraid of everything. She was brave in many ways. She climbed trees, she spoke in class, she once carried a spider outside all by herself. Well, she carried the cup. Her father carried the spider inside the cup. Sophie still said that still counted. But at night, her imagination sometimes worked a little too hard. One Saturday afternoon, Sophie visited her grandmother, who everybody called Grandma June. Grandma June loved sewing. Her house was filled with baskets of fabric, colorful thread, buttons, ribbons, and one sewing machine that seemed older than the moon. I know a couple of those sewing machines. Sophie sat at the kitchen table eating cinnamon toast. Yummy. Grandma June opened a large wooden chest. I have something for you. Sophie leaned closer. Inside rested a folded pair of pajamas. They were deep blue and covered with tiny golden stars, moons, clouds, and little silver lanterns. Sophie gasped, They're beautiful. Grandma June smiled. I made them from some very special fabric. Magic fabric? Grandma June raised one eyebrow. Maybe. Sophie grinned. What kind of magic? Grandma June unfolded the pajamas, not the kind that makes you invisible. Too bad. Not the kind that turns broccoli into cookies. Very disappointing. Grandma June laughed. This fabric belonged to my grandmother. She used to say it helped people remember good things while they slept. Sophie ran her fingers across the soft cloth. Did it? Grandma June shrugged. Depends on what you believe. Inside the collar, she had stitched four tiny words dream, believe, try, and share. Sophie read them aloud. What do they mean? Grandma June tapped each word gently. Dream of something good. Believe it might be possible. Try one small step and there and share something kind that someone with someone else. Sophie nodded. That sounds like a lot for pajamas. Grandma June smiled. Good pajamas have responsibilities. That evening, Sophie wore them to bed. Her mother tucked her in. You looked like a walking night sky. Sophie smiled. Grandma says these pajamas make dreams brighter. Her mother kissed her forehead. Then I hope you have a very bright one. For the next few minutes, Sophie still listened to every sound: tap, the branch; hum, the furnace; meow, pickle. She touched the words stitched inside her collar: dream, believe, try, share. Sophie closed her eyes. That night she dreamed that she was standing in a huge meadow beneath the dark sky. At first there were no stars. Then one appeared, then another, then hundreds. Each star hung low enough to touch. Sophie reached towards one. The moment her finger touched it, the star opened up like a tiny window. Inside, she saw herself standing at school beside a new girl named Maya. Maya had joined Sophie's class the week before. She was quiet and unusually ate lunch alone. The star whispered, "Share." Then the dream changed. Sophie stood beside a tall tree. Near the top was a bright red kite caught in the branches. A small boy below looked sad. Sophie whispered, "Try." A golden ladder appeared. Then the dream changed again. Sophie saw herself reading a story to a room filled with children. Her hands shook, her voice trembled, but everyone listened. Above her floated the words, "Believe." Sophie woke just before sunrise. She sat up. Pickle was asleep beside her feet. The room looked exactly the same: no glowing stars, no golden ladders, no magical windows. Still, Sophie felt different. At breakfast, her mother asked, "How did you sleep?" Sophie smiled. "Better." "Any bright dreams?" "Yes." She thought about Maya. That afternoon at school, Sophie saw her sitting alone near the playground fence. Sophie almost walked past. Then she remembered the star, "Share." She walked over. "Hi, Maya." Maya looked up. "Hi. Do you want to draw with me at recess?" Maya smiled. "I like drawing." "Me too." They sat together beneath a tree and drew pictures of animals. Maya drew an elephant wearing sunglasses. Sophie laughed. "Why sunglasses?" "Because he's famous." That seemed reasonable. By the end of recess, Sophie had made a new friend. That night, she wore the pajamas again. Her dream began in the same starry meadow. This time, one star glowed brighter than the other. Sophie touched it. Inside, she saw a boy named Noah standing near the school library. He was trying to carry a giant stack of books. The books wobbled, then whump! They fell everywhere. In the dream, Sophie laughed. Then the word kindness appeared across the sky. Sophie frowned. That wasn't very kind. The next day, almost the exact same thing happened. Noah came out of the library carrying a huge pile of books. They tipped. Books slid across the hallway. A few children giggled. Sophie remembered the dream. She hurried over. "Need help?" Noah looked embarrassed. "Yes." They picked up the books together. One was titled "The Complete History of Trains." Sophie looked at it. "That's a very big book." Noah nodded. "Trains have been very busy." Sophie laughed. So did he. That night, Sophia told Grandma June about the dreams. "Did you think the pajamas knew the future?" Grandma June smiled. "I think they help you notice possibilities." "What's the difference?" "The future is what happens. The possibility is what could happen." Sophia thought about that. "So the pajamas aren't telling me what will happen." "Nope. They're helping me decide what I can do." Grandma June nodded. "Now you're getting somewhere." Over the next few weeks, the dreams continued. Sometimes they were funny. Sophia dreamed Pickle was mayor of Maple Hollow. Think about that. The kitty cat was mayor of Maple Hollow. Her first law required everyone to take 3 naps a day. Sophie approved. Sometimes the dreams were adventurous. She climbed mountains made of books. She sailed across an ocean in a paper boat. She traveled through a forest where every tree told a joke. One tree said, "What did one leaf say to the other?" Sophie waited. "I'm falling for you." She woke up laughing. But many dreams carried little lessons. One night she saw herself helping her younger cousin build a block tower after it kept falling. Try. Another night she saw herself raising her hand in class even though she was unsure of the answer. Believe. Another showed her writing a card for a neighbor who lived alone. Share. The pajamas did not make problems disappear. They simply made Sophia think about what she could do. Then came the school winter story festival. Every class chose one student to read a story aloud in front of the families. Sophia's teacher, Mrs. Daniels, selected her. You read the most wonderful expression, Mrs. Daniels said. Sophia's stomach immediately did a cartwheel. In front of everyone? Yes. How many people? Maybe 60. Sophia's stomach performed another cartwheel and perhaps a small somersault. At home, she practiced. The words came easily in her bedroom. But whenever she imagined standing on stage, her throat tightened. "I can't do it," she told her mother. "You don't have to feel ready today. What if I freeze?" "Then breathe." "What if I forget the words?" "You'll have the book." "What if everybody looks at me?" "They probably will. You'll be the person reading." Sophia stared. That did not help. Her mother laughed. "Sorry." That night, Sophia put on the blue pajamas. She touched the stitched words: dream, believe, try, share. She fell asleep, and in her dream, she stood on a stage. The room was empty except for one small child sitting in the front row. The child looked nervous. Sophia opened the book. Her voice shook, but then she began. As she read, the person appeared, then another. Soon the room was full. Above the stage glowed four words: "The story is bigger than the fear." Sophia woke before sunrise. She whispered the words again: "The story is bigger than the fear." On festival night, the school auditorium buzzed with families. Sophia waited backstage. Her knees shook. Mrs. Daniels smiled. "Nervous?" "Yes." "Good." Sophia blinked. "Good. It means you care." Sophia took a breath. Then her name was announced. She walked onto the stage. The lights seemed bright. The audience seemed enormous. Then she saw Maya smiling. Noah gave her a thumbs up. Her mother waved. Grandma June sat beside her wearing a very proud smile. Sophia opened the book. Her hands trembled. Then she remembered. Try. She read the first sentence. Her voice was quiet. She read the second, a little stronger. Soon she stopped thinking about the audience and she thought about the story. She made the funny voices. She paused in the exciting places. She smiled during the warm parts. At one point, the audience laughed so loudly that Sophia forgot to be nervous. When she finished, the room applauded. Sophie stood very still, then she grinned. She had done it. Not perfectly, but bravely. Afterwards, a young girl approached her. "I'm scared to read in front of people." Sophia smiled. "So was I." "You didn't look scared." "Oh, I was." "What did you do?" Sophia thought about her pajamas. Then she said, "I started before I felt completely ready." The girl nodded. "I think I could try that." Sophia smiled, and suddenly she understood the last word: share. The brightest dreams are not always the ones that help Sophia. They were the ones she could pass along. Months went by. Sophia grew. Eventually, the blue pajamas became too small. One evening, she held them up sadly. "I can't wear them anymore." Grandma June smiled. "What happened? That happens with pajamas." "Will the dream stop?" Grandma June shook her head. "The pajamas helped you practice." "Practice what?" "Listening to your heart." Sophia looked at the four stitched words: dream, believe, try, and share. Then she had an idea. "Could we use the fabric for something else?" Together, Sophia and Grandma June carefully cut small pieces from the pajamas. They stitched them into tiny stars. Sophia gave one to Maya, one to Noah, one to the younger girl from the story festival. She kept one beside her bed. Each star carried the same 4 words. Soon the other children began sharing stories about the stars reminded them to do. One child tried out for a team, another apologized to a friend, another helped a new student feel welcome, another began writing stories. The pajamas had stopped fitting one person, but their message began fitting many. Years later, Sophia still remembered those bright dreams. She understood that the pajamas had never been powerful because of moonlight, thread, or mysterious fabric. Their greatest magic had been simpler. They reminded her that dreams become brighter when we act on them. The dream can become courage when we try. It can become kindness when we share. It can become confidence when we believe. And it only becomes something real when we step one smaller step from another. So whenever Sophia met someone who said, I don't think I can, she would smile and answer, you don't have to know that you can. You just have to believe enough to try. And somewhere deep inside her heart, 4 little words still glowed brighter than any star: dream, believe, try, share. The moral of the story is the pajamas made dreams brighter because of the dreams do not become meaningful simply because we imagine them. They glow brighter when we add courage, effort, kindness, and belief. Sophia learned that being nervous does not mean we should stop. The small acts of kindness can change somebody's day, and that we do not have to feel completely ready before we begin. When we dream with hope, belief in ourselves, take one responsible step at a time, and share our gifts with others, even an ordinary idea can become something that brings light to many hearts. Wow. That's kind of cool, isn't it? Well, let me share this video with you between the stories, and I'll be right back. Ho, 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 ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing today? Santa's popping on here to talk about his stories. I'm creating custom stories for your families. Can you imagine Santa